All right, let's take you now to Nasarawa, where our correspondent Godwin Agwam as well as Lara Afolayan are standing by to bring us up to speed with developments from there. Godwin, quickly bring us up to speed. What do we know at this time?
Well, right now we're standing right in front of Shabukwande Ward, where collation is currently ongoing for the ward. Presiding officers from various polling units under this ward are currently bringing in results to be collated here, right here at this center. About 1.8 million registered voters in Nasarawa State today went to the polls to decide the fate of who becomes the next governor of Nasarawa State for the next 4 years. And of course, we have about 147 wards across the state. And results are expected to filter in from these wards, from the ward to the local government collation center. And then from that local government collation center, of course, it will be taken to the state collation center, where the winner of the election would be declared or announced. From our monitoring today, we noticed that the election was relatively peaceful across the states. Election materials came in good time. Voters turned out in their large numbers to exercise their franchise, except for some pockets of violence that was noticed. Journalist Edwin Philip was brutalized in one of the polling units in the state capital. Except for that, the election is relatively peaceful. My colleague Lara Afolayan was also in Akwanga local government, and of course in Goody polling unit, where the executive governor of the state exercised his franchise. Lara, you're in Akwanga to monitor the election there. What would you say about the election so far in that area?
Thank you very much, Godwin. Yes, I was in Goody, the governor's hometown earlier today, and the elections went ahead peacefully. The governor was there to cast his vote alongside his wife, and generally it was a very peaceful process. The election materials arrived on time, the beavers worked, and everybody was pleased with the process. The only downside to it was that a lot of people said that the numbers were rather low, the turnout was rather low compared with what happened during the presidential and national assembly elections earlier on in the state. But generally it was a very, very peaceful process.
So what would you say about the security situation across the state?
Well, the security situation was very okay. On my way to Goody, we passed through Nasarawa Egon. It was peaceful. We could see police officers, men of the military, patrolling the major streets of the city. It was generally peaceful. I didn't get to hear of any violence-related issue during my coverage in the areas where I visited.
All right. Of course, you can see right now as we're standing in front of the collation center, same thing is happening across the 147 collation centers in the state. Of course, after this process, just like I said earlier on, the collation officers here will move to the local government collation center, of course, to submit their results before the results will be forwarded to state collation centers, where the winner of the election would be decided.
All right, give us a sense of what the demography of those who turned out to vote was like.
Well, we could see young persons who came out in their large numbers to exercise their franchise. They were in high spirits. Of course, even the elderly too were part of the voting process. All strata of persons who are, of course, qualified to vote were all at the various polling units across the state to exercise their franchise. I can tell you for sure that the people of Nasarawa State are well sensitized about voting, and in fact, they are they have the vigor, they have the strength, and they have everything, the might, to come out to exercise their franchise. And we saw it at the polls while we were monitoring elections across the states.
There are those who have touted Nasarawa as one of the battleground states, and so expected a lot of things to have happened there. Could you give us a sense of how it is that we see some level of relative peace? Was it as a result of the presence of security operatives in the state? What really happened?
Well, in the build-up to the election, there were lots of incisive statements, especially in the social media. We had anticipated that there will be violence. We had anticipated that some persons will be stopped from voting. We had anticipated that there will be rancor during these polls. But surprisingly, we are seeing that the election turned out to be peaceful. Perhaps it's due to the presence of security agencies who were seen around the polling units, the streets of Lafia, patrolling to ensure that there's maintenance of law and order.
Right. We'll definitely get back to you, Michael, for more updates with regards to the collation, the sorting and counting as we get along. Let's continue now.